Thanks everyone for coming out this afternoon. My name is Paul Butler, and I'm going to be sharing with you 6 ways to tell digital stories. As Chris mentioned before, if you have any questions, post them in the chat, or you can ask them throughout the presentation. Feel free, like I said, to ask questions at any time. At the end of the presentation, I'll be sticking around for a little bit. And if you want to have an extended conversation about any of the applications I'm sharing this afternoon, we can do so then. A link to my slideshow has been posted in the chat, and you can also find my slideshow in the Summer Learning Academy website under slides. And of course, as Chris mentioned, this presentation is being recorded. So welcome to Summer Learning Academy 2020. I've been participating in the Summer Learning Institutes for the last 15 years or so, either as there's always lots to learn. So hope you're having a great experience so far and your summer is going well with you. So I work for the Chignecto Central Regional Centre for Education. I taught phys ed for 18 years, and since 2005, 2006, I've been a technology integration specialist. So during the remote emergency learning that we had during the springtime, we were offering lots of PD sessions within our region. And one of the sessions that I did was the slideshow on how to get students engaged in telling digital stories. So I'm going to share my screen here. And hopefully you can see my first slide there. Okay, so as I mentioned before, I've made this slideshow public, so it's tinyurl.com/6 ways to tell digital stories, and there's also a QR code there as well. So as I mentioned before, I've been with Chignecto Central since 1985, and the last 14, 15 years I've been a technology mentor. So storytelling is a powerful way to communicate a message. Storytelling in the classroom doesn't have to be complicated. I'm going to share with you today 6 storytelling ideas with examples and hyperlinks where you can go and download templates to use to challenge your students. A lot of these ideas can be done in a single period, or it can be done over an extended period of time. It's up to you. So the first one I'm going to share with you is a way for kids to create a magazine cover or a poster to summarize important details surrounding a historical event, a person, a book, or an important event in their life, perhaps. This is a simple, short assignment to help your students grasp the essential concepts of a particular concept. So basically what's happening here is I'm going to share with you some templates that were created in Google Drawing, and then you can download them, make a copy, and you can add them to your Google Classroom, make a copy for each of your students, and then they can go in and they can modify them as they wish. So on the right-hand side over here, I've got a hyperlink to all 3 templates. So I've got one here for Time Magazine, another one for National Geographic, Sports Illustrated, and then I have an exemplar that I made myself during the month of April that I'll share with you in a moment. So I'm just going to click on this hyperlink here. And this folder is public and it should open up for you. So the first one here is a Time Magazine one. So as I mentioned, these were created in Google Drawing. So you would simply go to File, make a copy, store it in your Google Drive, and then add it to your Google Classroom. So we've got a great picture here of Barack Obama. And if you want to change that, you would simply go to Insert, and the student would insert the photo of their choosing. When you click on the text, you can go up here and they can modify and add text or delete it or add their own. So it's pretty straightforward. So that's the time template. Let's take a look at another one. Here's the National Geographic one. So as I mentioned before, students can easily modify the photo that's on the cover, improvise the text, and make any improvements that they wish. And the third one, for those athletes in your class, they could create a Sports Illustrated magazine template. So they could upload a photo of themselves, take a copyright-free image and insert it there, add their own text, and personalize it. That's a good one. This site here simply describes how you would go about assigning the magazine cover activity. So then you can make as many changes to this as you like. And as I scroll down here, you can see some exemplars that students had made and posted in the classroom. So it could be a People magazine, any magazine of their choice. So that's kind of a neat idea. So that would certainly engage some of your students. On to the second one. So with the second one, your students can create a social media post, such as an Instagram post. So in this example here, if Alexander the Great had a Twitter account, what would he be saying as he conquered the world? Challenge your students to create short posts in the style of a tweet, an Instagram post, or perhaps a Facebook profile. You can also turn this into a class project by creating interactions between the characters. So like in the previous activity, I have some links down below here that will take you to the templates. So the first one here is for the Twitter and Instagram templates. And this will take you to a website called Template Palooza. So when you scroll down, there's the Instagram template, and it's simply a Google slide. And there's a few other ones on here as well that you might be interested in. Down here at the bottom, there's the Facebook one that you could use. So it could be a post about a famous astronaut, and then it's about photos and friends. And there's a few other ones in here as well. All right. So let's go back. And the next slide here I want to share with you is from Roxy Thompson. And what she's done is she actually has a video in here, and she explains exactly how you will go about getting your students to create this Instagram post. And if I scroll down here, take a second for the page to load. She has a little slideshow here with some video on it, which I'm not going to play right now because it will slow down our connection here, and you probably wouldn't be able to hear because I'm sharing my screen as opposed to a tab. But if you go through this slideshow, she'll walk you through all the steps on how to do the Instagram post. So for this example here, she did a NASA space website, and she also had the students talking about the various planets in our solar system. All right, so this one here has the video, has the audio component to it, and it's not very long. It's only about 4 or 5 minutes long, and she'll walk you through the steps on how to create this. All right, so this is an activity that would probably be of interest to upper elementary students, junior high school, and certainly high school students. All right, so that's the second one, social media posts. Here's the finished product. Students can also put hashtags in there as well to make it look more authentic. Create their avatar. And here's the Facebook one I was telling you about. And I also have a link to the template as well. And you'll simply make a copy. Save that to your Google Drive, and then share those out in Google Classrooms. All right, so they would delete the content there and include their own. Photos, and the last one, friends. Okay, very good. Okay, so the third one I'm going to share with you is creating a Canadian Mount Rushmore if we had one. So challenge your students to assemble their Mount Rushmore based upon what you've been learning on, what the students have been learning about in class. So for example, what are the five most important parts of a cell? What are the 5 most important figures important figures in the Second World War. What are the 5 most important elements in the periodic table, or anything else that you might want the students to create. So this is a great project to use as a review before a final unit assignment. After your students have assembled their Mount Rushmore, ask them to justify their answer. So they could do an audio recording, include that onto the slideshow. They could use Flipgrid, create a video, insert that as well, add the barcode from the Flipgrid. Lots of different things you can do with this particular assignment. So Google Slides is a great tool for this type of projects. Students can record, like I said, a short verbal summary to explain how they constructed their Mount Rushmore. And as I mentioned, you can also use Flipgrid as well. So I created one of my own here. So I made a Mount Rushmore of Canadian prime ministers. So I chose 5 of them, and I used Google Slides, imported a photo, Canadian maple leaf, put that in as my background. I did not include any audio, but of course that would be pretty easy to do in Google Slides. You just have to use choose an audio recorder and insert the file right into the slideshow. So I do have another example down below here, and it's a Mount Rushmore of favorite movies. This is not one that I created, but it gives you an idea, but it does have an audio file, which I'm not going to play right now. So this lends itself to lots of different connections throughout the curriculum for your students. All right. On to number 4. So the 4th one I'm going to share with you is creating a virtual tour. And this is one that I wasn't aware of until this spring. And it's actually a very nice activity. It kind of looks and feels a little bit like a Google slideshow, but you can incorporate Google Earth and all the different features that are included in Google Earth into your slideshow. So you're going to challenge your students to create a journey using the new project feature within Google Earth. So they can map out important locations in a novel that they're reading. They can identify key locations in a period of history. They can create a tour of important biomes or endangered species, or let's say you're teaching grade 4s and you're doing a unit on habitats. So Google Earth projects are saved in a student's Google Drive, and they can be shared just like a Google document, making this a great option for sharing outside the classroom. So the first link I have right here, I created a slideshow that will walk you through. Actually, the first one here I think is a video, and the second one here has a link to my slideshow. So this first one here is a link to a YouTube video that's a few minutes long that'll walk you through how to set this up. So I took the instructions that were in the video and I put them into a slideshow. So this one here is a link to my slideshow, which I'm going to open up. So the first thing I have in my slideshow is a Google Earth Tour Creator Organizer. So what landmarks are the students going to be visiting, the city, the country, and the continent? So they can use this to kind of plan where they're going to go from point A to point B and so on throughout their story. Okay, so that's just a little organizer, a visual organizer. So when students open up Google Earth, you will see on the 5th tab down below here, there's a new link called Projects, okay? So when you click on this, it's going to take you to Projects, and you can create this virtual tour, all right? Then you simply give the project a name, or you click on New Project, and you say Create the project in Google Drive. It's pretty straightforward. There's not a lot to it. You're going to name your project, okay? And then this is where you're going to add your text and describe your project. And usually what I do is I start my slideshow with a couple of full screen slides. So these are just JPEG images to start my tour. And then I'll get into using the features within Google Tour. So I'll usually just add a couple of photos first. So I'll go with a full screen title to start with. And I have an example right here I'm going to share with you in a couple of minutes. So when you choose your photos, you can add some text to your photos. So you can see I've got a great photo here of the CN Tower in Toronto. So I added a title to my photo. I said it's the city of Toronto. And then down below here, I said I visited Toronto numerous times. So when the student goes to present it, that text is going to show up on the image. okay? So they can add relevant text to their photos, okay? You can also search for an image, so the students can simply type in what they're looking for, and Google Earth will do a search for you. So for this one here, I typed in Halifax waterfront, and Google Earth will do a search for you and bring up an appropriate photo for you. You can also add these little bookmarks to your images too, which are little tags. They'll help you to zoom in, to focus on a geographical area on your map. And then the last step, number 8 here, is you're going to share out your project. So you go up here to the share icon, and it's going to give you an address that the students are going to copy. And of course, they would take that address. You would create an assignment in your Google Classroom, and they would share up that address for you. Okay, so that's all included in the video that I mentioned earlier on. Yeah, so you can get a shareable link, and students will copy and paste this into the Google Classroom, and so the rest of the students in the class can see it. So let's go back here, and I'll show you what one's going to look like. So I've got one down below here. Sorry, guys. One that I created, and it's called Places That I've Been. So as I mentioned before, I started my slideshow with a couple of images, and then you'll see the Google Earth features that I have embedded into my slideshow. So the finished product, like I said, it kind of looks and feels a little bit like a slideshow, but you've got the very unique Google Earth features built right in. It takes a few seconds for it to load. Okay, so there's my project. So I called it Places I've Been. So I'm going to click on Present here. But just before I do that, you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first 4 here are all images. And then down below here, these are all Google Earth sites that I'm going to visit. Okay, so I'm going to go to Present, and I'm going to share with you my Google Earth tour, my journey so far. So this tour will have you visiting some places that I've been to and that are on my bucket list. So my first photo here is just a copyright image from Air Canada. And then my second photo loads and says, this is a photo of a seaside community called Rushmore, Nova Scotia, where I grew up. I've got 2 more stills. So I attended St. FX from 81 to 85. And my last still is I moved to New Glasgow in 1986 and taught phys ed for many years in the town. So that's my last still. So my next slide is going to take you to Peggy's Cove. So Peggy's Cove is a small community located on the eastern shore of St. Margaret's Bay in Nova Scotia and Halifax Regional Municipality, which is the site of Peggy's Point Lighthouse. I hope to visit there soon. And if I go over here, I can actually zoom in a little bit more on Peggy's Cove. There we go. Oops, I want to zoom in. And I can go to 3D mode, and students can explore a little more. So that's kind of neat. On to the next slide. So I'm not going to go through all of my slides here, maybe just 1 or 2 more. So my next one takes us to McLeod's Beach and Campground, which is a beautiful campground in Cape Breton. And my next one, oh, I've got a couple. You can insert other photos and other videos as well. This is actually a link to a video about the campsite. I'm not going to play that right now. And I've got a number of photos here. So there's another photo of McLeod's Campground. And on to the next. Okay, this seems to be slowing down a little bit. Restart. 1, 2, 3, 4. Peggy's Cove. There we go. So now zooming in on McLeod's Beach. And from McLeod's, we're going to go visit, I think we're going to Toronto. Yes, we're going to the CN Tower. And from the CN Tower, we are going to go visit, I think we're going to Sugarloaf Mountain, one of my favorite ski hills. And then from Sugarloaf, I think we're going to Hawaii. Yes, we're going to Hokipa. So if you're not aware, Hokipa is a famous beach on the shore, on the north shore of Maui. Great windsurfing spot. So as you can see, it's a great way to do a Google Earth tour. Um, and it can be about anything that you're doing in the curriculum. So that's a kind of a neat one to explore. I've got my planning sheet there, which was the first link that was in my slideshow. And the first two links here are other exemplars. Okay, so that was the virtual tour using Google Earth. Number 5, so creating an audio story. So in 2005, I went to a technology conference in Philadelphia, and back then, one of the really big events at the conference was how to create a podcast. And since then, we have so many more tools at our disposal, and it's something that a lot of teachers and students are starting to use these days. And using the technology that we have in our Google Suite and other tools to create an audio recording, to create a fun story to tell. So students can narrate something that they wrote. They can share a personal reflection. They can speak as an historical character, or they can interview someone else to see things from the perspective. I have a friend that teaches in Truro. He had a grade 5 or grade 6 class, and they went and visit war vets, and the students had their questions all lined up, recorded the veterans answering the questions, took the audio back, and created these really neat audio stories that were very powerful. The popularity of podcasting has improved with the tools that are available, and there are many tools out there that are available. However, today I'm going to focus on one that I really like to use, and it's called Beautiful Audio Editor. It's also an app that you can download using Chrome. The Chrome app just basically takes you to their website. It does sync to their Google Drive, which is fantastic. So all their work gets stored right to their Google Drive. It gets uploaded. And then when they come back another day to continue working on it, all they have to do is simply download the file and continue working on it. Beautiful Audio Editor allows you to go in and you can actually edit all the content that's in your podcast. So you can actually delete, trim, import sound effects. So there's quite a few features in there. It's not very hard to use. This link here will open up my slideshow that will walk you through all the steps on how to use Beautiful Audio Editor. And like I say, if you haven't used it, it's a really good tool to use. I don't want to spend too long on this, but I'll just go through a few of the slides here. This is the link here that will take you to how to download it and put it onto your Chrome web browser. I also have a link to a how-to video that will walk you through the steps here. I've got a link here to a podcasting resource. I'll kind of walk you through it as well. I have 3 other links here for some other resources. Ben Sounds is a website you can go to get copyright-free music, and there's lots of different soundtracks that you can use there. These are all copyright-free, and they're fantastic. And just Ben Sounds, copyright-free music, so you can import those as your background, reduce the sound level, makes for a really nice professional-sounding podcast. If you're looking for some sound effects, if you need a dog barking or an airplane landing, this one over here, Free Sound Bites, is a good one. And sometimes too, what I'll get students to do is I'll get them to record their voice, their audio on a separate device. It could be an iPad or this one here, free voice controlled teleprompter. And they can take a second device and put their script on it. So when it's time to do the recording, instead of reading from their notes, it'll play like a teleprompter. So that's kind of a neat tool for them to use. So there's the interface. It's got a number of tabs here at the top. Pretty straightforward. It's not hard to use. You simply click on the record button down here at the bottom. It'll start recording your voice. You can stop it, split it, improvise as you like. So there's the pause button. It's got a drag feature as well. So you can move the recording along. If you want to move a certain part of your recording to a different part of the podcast, you can duplicate it, slice it. Lots of different tools that you can use. You can remove a section. And when you go to do a second recording, it simply creates another soundtrack. So that second soundtrack, you simply grab it and drag it up and put it on the first one. So it's all one that blends together. You can increase and decrease the volume of your voice or the background music. You can add a second track, but like I said, I usually take that second track and drag it up and put it on the first track so it all plays as one. So the only difficult or tricky part with this is students have to save their work. So get them to name their project. And right over here, the last icon is going to save to their Google Drive, okay? And once it saves to their Google Drive, when they come back another day, this is the part that might cause a few little hiccups. So they have to go to their Google Drive, locate the file, they have to right click on it, and they have to download it. Okay, so if the students are working on a Chromebook, that's going to go to Files on the Chromebook. Okay, so then all they do is they open up Beautiful Audio Editor and they click on File and they simply load the project. And it's just 1, 2, 3, but it has to be done in that particular sequence. So what happens is sometimes kids will rush at the end of the class and they'll forget to save their work. They come back a following day and whatever they worked on the previous day will be lost. They have to save their work each time when they exit. It goes to the cloud and then they simply have to re-download it. So you have access to this slideshow and it's going to walk you through all the steps. Yeah, so they simply say load from a local audio file. And like I said, it's in there. They've downloaded it, goes to Files on the Chromebook. And all of our Chromebooks in the province, at least with my board, they're managed. So when the student logs out, all the files get erased. So they have to download it from their cloud. So like I said, it's really important. They save it as an MP3 and it gets saved to their Google Drive. And they simply have to re-download it to work on it another day. When they're done, they would turn it into, they would share out the MP3 with you. You would create an assignment inside of Google Classrooms, and the students would simply upload the file. I had a grade 7 class during February this year create folklore stories, and the end products were fantastic. The teacher was really pleased with how things turned out. So like I said, you would create an assignment in Google Classrooms, and the students would submit their podcast as an MP3. Okay, so how do you use the podcast to teach these concepts? So for instance, in science, it could be a project about the water cycle. In social studies, different branches of the government, narrative writing for ELA, lots of different applications you could use for your students to talk about in math and integers. For arts, what is considered art? You could have students do a podcast about one of their favorite athletes and how they made an impact in society throughout various decades. Yeah, so lots of different things that you can have your students make podcasts. So that's one of my favorite ones. Okay, on to the last one, and this last one is probably my favorite one. This has probably been one of my favorite applications to share during the last couple of years. BookCreator has been around on the iPads for about the last 8 or 9 years. However, they've added it to the Chrome browser. So now it's a really easy way for students to create digital books using Chromebooks and the Chrome browser. So it's still very, it has some nice applications, special tools that you can use on the iPad. But if you use it with the Chrome browser, there are quite a few more sharing features that you can use using the browser. So I have for you 2 URLs down here at the bottom. And the first one is a link to my slideshow, which I'm going to open up in a moment here. And I'm just going to talk about the second one here. The second one here is a website that I created, and it's all about BookCreator for Chrome. So I'm going to open that up and just show you some of the content that's on here. So basically, this is for someone that may be new to BookCreator and wants to learn a little bit more about it. So I was so excited about sharing BookCreator with teachers in my board. I created this website for them to learn at their own pace. So it's basically a guide on how to get set up with a teacher account, a couple of videos as to what BookCreator is all about. This one over here, the third one, talks about the different features that are within BookCreator. I've got a long list here of great ideas and suggestions on how you can use BookCreator within the curriculum. So these are all links to sites that I've found within BookCreator that I think would be popular with teachers. So lots of different ways in how you can use BookCreator with your students. In section 5.0, this is a link to 50 different ways you can use BookCreator in your classroom. Common Sense Education has some nice ideas on how to use BookCreator for different lessons for digital citizenship. And the last section here is FYI, different things you may not know about in BookCreator. So I update this website on a regular basis when I find some new content that I think people might be interested in. And of course, they're always updating BookCreator on a regular basis. So yeah, so that's my website, and it's simply www.tinyurl.com BC for Chrome. And this last link I'm going to share with you is a link to my slideshow that's all about BookCreator. So this afternoon, I'm doing another session at 2:30, and I'm actually presenting BookCreator. And if you're interested, feel free to join us. I'll be spending a little bit more time going into more detail on how to get your account set up and how you're going to share it with your students through Google Classrooms. So this slideshow has quite a few slides in it. I think about 50 slides. I'm not going to go through all of these right now. I will touch base on a few of them. But if you're interested in learning more about this one here, come this afternoon to my 2:30 session. So on the BookCreator site, you can actually take a level 1 certified BookCreator course. And I actually took this about a week ago, and it's fantastic. I actually learned lots of different things that I wasn't aware about. I've got a link here if you're interested. It takes you about an hour to go through the course, and they'll walk you through all the basic steps on how to use BookCreator. Highly recommend it. Become a certified BookCreator author, and they give you this little bookmark tag that you can put in your slideshow, which is kind of nice. So getting started with BookCreator, as I mentioned before, it's been on the iPad for the last number of years. It's got tremendous flexibility for any subject. It's an easy way for students and teachers to create digital stories, and they look and feel like an actual book. And the best part is this particular application gets students really excited about reading and writing, especially for those students that may not be that excited about reading and writing. So it's great for struggling readers and writers. So I want to bring your attention to this particular slide. And unfortunately, not all the regional centers have approved BookCreator for use. My board, we've been using it for a number of years. We have 4 boards that are using it, and there's 4 of them that are not. So you can see with this image here, the ones that are using it and the ones that are not. So if you're in one of those boards that are not using it, what I recommend you do is maybe talk to your technology people when you get back to school in September and ask them if they could investigate and get BookCreator approved. I would strongly recommend that you consider using it. So one of the best features about BookCreator that I like is that these guys give you the full version of it. They do want to make some money, so what they'll do is they'll offer you more libraries, and the libraries will cost you either $5 or $10 a month. But you don't have to go out and buy extra libraries. There's a workaround where the child can create one book, and it can last the whole entire school year. And I'll share that with you in a couple of minutes. So what they do is they give you, when you create your account, they give you 2 libraries. The first library is your own personal library, and the second library is going to be your public library for your students. Both, excuse me, both of these libraries are going to have 40 books, okay? That second library, they give you an invite code, okay? So this invite code you're going to share with your students inside of Google Classrooms, okay? So all the students have to do is click on the hyperlink and then click on or type in the code, and they'll have a book. They can claim a book from your public library. The iPad does not have a class library, and the iPad has a free version and the paid version. The only difference between the free version and the paid version is that the paid version allows you to create multiple books. The paid version costs around $7. If you are using the free version, you can still use it with your students in the sense that when another child comes along to use that particular iPad, what they have to do is delete the previous book. If that child is done with it, delete all the content and then start a new book over again. It's a bit of a hiccup and bit of a annoying procedure to go through. So that's why I kind of gravitate to the Chrome browser, because you've got that huge library of 40 books and the students can all claim one or more. So you can also AppSmash within BookCreator. So there's lots of different applications that you can use out there. You can create something in, say, Pick Collage or Explain Everything, or let's say you have an iMovie, and you can import those things into your book. So I've kind of mentioned a few of those already. The iPad does have some nice accessibility features to support students with disabilities. The Chrome version has collaboration, which was enabled during the pandemic, which allows the students to invite another student to create on a book together, or multiple students can create. That's usually a feature that's in the paid version when you buy the $5 or $10 subscription. But during the pandemic, they turned that on for free, and I think it's still up and running. So here's another really nice important feature. BookCreator, you can use it with the Safari browser on the iPad or on an Apple device, and you can actually use it with any device now. So it's widely available as long as you use that Chrome browser on any particular device. So students and teachers can work on an ebook together at the same time, and that collaboration feature is a really nice feature to use, and that was turned on this spring. So with this example here, you can see it turns the student's writing into something that looks very, very authentic. The student's writing looks more professional, and you can use BookCreator as a second step after they finish doing their initial rough draft. Students can take pictures of artifacts using the built-in camera on the Chromebook or the device or the iPad, or they can import them from Google and make connections to their writing and their learning. So some ideas for using BookCreator: you can make your own adventure books, poetry books, photo books. You can do an end of the year photo book for the whole school year, like a book report. All About Me, retell stories, the list goes on and on. This one here, I'm not going to play it right now, but if you get a chance, you have to check out Pete the Cat. It's one of my favorite exemplars. This little girl made this book about this book that she had read, Pete the Cat, and she has her voice recorded on it. It's a pretty special book. It's one of my favorite ones to share, but I'm not going to play that right now. So I've got you guys in here for about 40 minutes already. I don't want to go on too far with this one because I'm going to be sharing this again this afternoon. But to get started, you simply go to www.bookcreator.com, and you're going to sign in as a teacher, and you're going to sign in with Google. Okay? And I'll ask you a few other questions after that, and that's basically how you get started. You're going to see the top left-hand corner, you'll see the hamburger, 3 little bars. And when you click on that, you're going to see 2 libraries. You're going to see your personal library, and then you're going to have this other second library over here. And this is the public library that you're going to share with your students, okay? So when you click on the settings icon over here, this is going to allow you to rename your public library. This is the one that you're going to share with your students, okay? Each of these libraries has 40 books, okay? So you simply rename your book right here. So I've called this one Paul's Public Library. There's a couple of features here that you can turn on and turn off. Usually I find with junior high students, they don't like other students reading their books until they are finished. So over here, students can edit their own books. You're going to turn that on. And over here, students can read each other's books. So this one here for junior high students, I usually turn that one off. And then when they finish their books, they're usually more open to other students reading their books, but they don't like other students sometimes reading their books as they're creating them. And the last one here, students can publish their books online. I usually leave that turned off. So that's just a couple of features to get you up and running, get you started. This one here is about how to get set up, getting your code for your book, for your library, putting it into your Google Classroom. And I want to talk in more detail about this one during my presentation this afternoon. You do have access to this slideshow, and it's right here, new to BookCreator. So it's got about 50 slides in it. We covered about the first dozen there. So that's basically my last one that I want to share was BookCreator for Chrome. So those are 6 ideas that you can use to get your students telling digital stories in the classroom. I think there's something there that your students could use at upper elementary, junior high school, and a few ideas at the high school level.